Okay,
at least I didn't to me or something.
Good morning, good afternoon, happy Sunday, Colleen Anderson. I'm just chatting to you today, and I do this thing just to make it clear. I have, at the start of lockdown, I do a chat in my kitchen, just because we were all so bored, and I was talking to people around the world about their lockdown experiences and COVID, and very fabulous people all over the world in many different countries. And just on my journey, I spotted somebody called Clodagh Malone when the vote came up recently about sealing the files for the adopted children of the institutions. And through Clodagh's Facebook page then, and Clodagh's fantastic work, I spoke to Clodagh, and then it linked to you. So this is actually the first day we've actually really talked to one another, except on social media. And so I just wanted to highlight your story because I thought it was just such a profound and moving story, particularly at this time of the year, Christmas, which is like a time when we should all be doing, giving, trying to find ways to solve problems for people, and not just thinking about what we can spend online. So your story is amazing. You will definitely have to do a book. There's no doubt about that, Colleen. There's a book in you. So I'm going to let you tell your own story because I couldn't do it justice. So I'll just start off by saying your mom was about 16 in Ireland when she got pregnant, and you can take over from there. She was obviously a single mom, and then she ended up with Sister Hildegard, who was the nun from the famous movie Philomena. Am I right? She ended up in Sister Hildegard's institution.
Yes.
I wouldn't like to say what I think of Sister Hildegard because I'd have to go to confession tomorrow if I was to, because she certainly didn't come across as a kind person in the movie Philomena. So I'll hand over to you, Colleen, and just tell me from as early as you can remember. Just give me the bones of your memories and your life, because it's just an amazing, shocking story.
Well, thank you. Actually, my mom was 14 and she was raped when she had me. So she ended up in Sean Ross Abbey, and she didn't give me up for adoption. She told me that I was taken at age 3 years old, and Sister Hildegard sent me to her niece in the States. Now, from what I remember, her niece, my adopted mom in the States, was diabetic, did not think she could have children, so she asked for a child from Sean Ross Abbey. And she obviously corresponded with Sister Hildegard, and Sister Hildegard just, I guess, by random picked me. And from what I know, and like I said, there's a lot of differences of when I actually went to America. Some paperwork says I was there at 9 months. My mom told me I was 3 years old. I have no clue to this day, and that's because I think of records being doctored and just falsified. So, but in the interim, I did end up in Illinois, in Chicago, and I basically don't remember any part of Sean Ross. I don't remember a flight over.
Colleen, I think you're
of Chicago. And then I ended up, my adopted parents moved to Park Ridge, which is where I remember growing up. And about 5, 6 years old, I was told by my adopted mom that I was adopted, and that her aunt was the Mother Superior, as she called her, in Sean Ross Abbey, and that was where I was born. Pretty much so, 5 years old, I knew, all the way up till obviously now.
And so your mum, you had an American mum and American dad. And at what stage do you remember your beatings starting with your American mom?
Oh, I would say back to probably, I was thinking about this the other day, because when you tell these stories and you kind of block things out, everything starts to come back of all different stuff that I just didn't even realize it kind of was going on, because I became an adult and I grew up and I kind of let it go. But I would say around age 6.
Okay, and you think she was schizophrenic, your American mom? Yes.
I know, yeah, I know she was schizophrenic, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
she was violent right through from the time you were 5 or 6 upwards.
Yes, I mean, I remember one incident that, like I said, things start coming back, where I was about 6 years old and I was outside in the snow playing. And I remember she left me out there for about 8 hours, and in the winter, in the snow. And then I had obviously having to go to the bathroom, went to the bathroom in my pants. And I remember coming in, and I remember her just, giving out to me and being back out of me for it. So I
Yeah, when
remember
I watched,
as
I saw a clip, I saw your YouTube story, and it's definitely worth watching. And I mean, you were talking about broken bones and going to school with cuts and bruises, and then lying through, covering the whole thing up yourself. You didn't tell anybody it was happening to you.
no, I never felt I was protected by anybody, because I would go to school with um, bleeding. She hit me in the head. I would have blood on my hair. Teachers would see it. I'd go to the nurse, but I never would tell anybody, because I knew I'd have to go back home. And going back home after you report some kind of incident, it just makes it worse.
Makes it worse. Same in Ireland, I suppose, really. People in Ireland who got slapped in school, when they came home, they got into more trouble with their parents. So your adopted father did nothing about this, Colleen? Your adopted
No,
daddy?
no,
He turned a blind eye.
no.
Blind eye.
Yeah, he would go fishing. He would ignore it. I mean, he would intervene in a few occasions, but not enough for it to stop.
Okay. So at what time? So you get to 14 and 15 and you decide to leave home, run away from home. Am I right? Was
I
the next big step.
yes, I would. I never knew, because of schizophrenia, what state the person could be in, or what mood or whatever. So there would be sometimes I'd come home from school and it would be okay. And there would be other times I'd come home and I would get just hell for whatever.
Okay. And at this
Maybe
stage,
a sock under the bed, something.
something would
Go
trigger
ahead,
her.
sorry.
Something would trigger her. You're frozen again there. Your Wi-Fi is a little bit dodgy, I think. Have we got you,
I
Colin?
would run away.
Your Wi-Fi is a little bit tricky, Colleen, or a little bit tricky with the Wi-Fi. Okay, so you get to 14 and you're living out on the street, basically in the area that you were residing in. You were living under hedges and bushes and in neighbors' gardens. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and then tell me how you decided at that point to try and reach. At what point did you decide to reach back to Ireland and try and find your birth mother?
Oh boy, I was probably in my 30s. I
Okay.
just going, yeah, going through therapy and trying to figure out, the sadness and how I felt rejected and everything, and just battered mentally and physically. I reached out to Sister Hildegard, who did give me the information of my birth mom.
Okay. And so then eventually you got the money together and you were obviously working at this stage and you came to Ireland. And tell me, how much of that do you want to discuss? You did find your birth mother.
I did, in 1999.
Okay. And your half siblings.
No, I never met. I met my birth mom at Christ Church, and her husband and my aunt. But I was always a secret. Well, I'm not really. Not a secret to the siblings, but I'm a secret to everybody else, cousins and all that. But I did meet my birth mom, and she said she would never tell her children about me. She said she'd rather die than, I think because of me being a secret, she would have to tell the whole story of what happened to her, which was the rape.
Right, we're frozen again, Colleen. It might work. I'm losing you slightly, Colleen.
Yeah.
It's okay. I will keep going because your story, I think we still have the thread of your story. So your mom then, so you met her that one time. What was that one meeting like for you, Colleen?
It was very, it was very, I did it by myself. So I guess it was sad. I really didn't, other than the mediator who was with Barnardo's, was the kind of the person who got the meeting together. My mom didn't say a lot. I mean, the mediator kind of asked the questions and this and that. All my mom did was look down on the floor. And I'd see her kind of looking at me once in a while. But she looked scared. She looked scared and timid, as I would imagine the little child in her probably was coming out.
Okay. I mean, the trauma, if you say she was raped, the trauma of that and dealing with the secret and all that, I suppose was huge to her, you know, and the fact that she
Right.
kept you a secret from her own children, I suppose, as well. Okay. So at that point, you made a decision to come and live in Ireland.
Yes.
Around that time. Okay. So you went.
No, actually, I'm sorry. It was no. That was 1999. I didn't come back till 2018.
Okay, so you went back to the States for quite some time.
Yes.
And you were working and living normally, no husband, no babies, just yourself. You were a very independent woman. And I suppose, did you ever want a man in your life, or is it something that you didn't want? Is it something you resisted, or are you happy to be on your own as a person?
Well, I always thought, I guess because of the way my adopted mom treated me and the way she had portrayed my birth mom, which was promiscuous, which that's not what happened. I had a lot of conflicts on any kind of relationship and children. No, after going through the beatings and everything, my fear was I might end up like doing the same thing
Okay.
to kids. I
Very nice.
wouldn't, but that was my fear.
Yes, I'm quite sure, because you're such a gorgeous person. You seem to be so calm, so kind, and anybody that knows you says the same thing about you. It's terrible that you had to carry that burden, really, because it's absolutely not the person that you are, you know? Obviously,
Right.
obviously. So, okay, so you came to Ireland in 2018. You were working for lovely Irish companies, as I saw. You were in Fallon and Byrne, which we all love and just can't afford to shop in it. And you did the lovely companies. So, and then the lockdown obviously happened and the jobs dried up as such. So tell me this, Colleen, when you came back to Ireland, did you reach out was there anybody here that was going to listen to your story and try, because you were basically coming to try and make Ireland your home again because you'd felt you'd lost it as your home? So did you reach out to a government body here and say, I'm back, you guys sent me out of here, I'm back, and I need somewhere to live? Did that happen?
Not until I reached out, and the chain kind of continues. I mean, I did have a cousin on my adopted side of the family who his last name is McNulty, which is Sister Hildegard's last name, who sat on the council and got me into emergency accommodations. After going to hostels, I did have somebody when I first came here that put me up in a hotel for 11 days, which was great. And that was through kind of my story from the States that was in Irish newspapers here. So I had to GoFundMe. I got together my passport, my green card, just stuff that I could get to get over here. But basically, I would say pennies in the pocket, 2 suitcases in hand, and that was it.
And Colleen, you must be one of the only, maybe not, but like you present as so American, your American accent still. Now you look very Irish, I think, but you sound American. I mean, there can't be too many people with an American passport, an American history, living in Irish emergency accommodation. You have to be a very rare bird from that point of view.
Oh, I know I'm a rare bird because they always call me the Yank here at some of these places. So yes, I know I'm a rare bird.
And Colin, have you made a decision that you want Ireland to be your home?
For the when I first landed here, yes, absolutely. Going through what I've gone through in the last, I've been in emergency accommodations for 2 years, and just the craziness and the chaos, which kind of triggers a lot of emotions for me because of what I grew up with. I know it's on a different level, but yeah, I would love it to be my home. I don't want to have any regrets about coming home.
Okay. And so like ideally, I mean, I was thinking about this, you know, we'd all love to be able to solve your problems. Like I mean, I absolutely feel that the country that sent you away when you were 3 years of age, without your permission, obviously, and with the whole mess of Hildegard and all those nuns that were selling babies to the States, like surely to God, Ireland owes you at least a roof over your head that you've now decided to come home. You know, you're a single girl, you don't have any money and funds, and you've come back to the country that like sent you away so many years ago. Surely to God, has anybody here listened to that story in the adoption department or in Tusla or in any of these places? Have they listened to you and made any suggestions about like long-term decent accommodation that is not chaotic?
The answer would be, I think it may be in the process due to things like this and people like yourself, but in my mind, no. And that's all I want. I mean, I don't want a lot. I'm very simple. Like I said, I'm by myself. Simple is great for me, but to feel safe and to feel, I mean, my dream always was to have a little thatched cottage with a little border collie. I don't think that's going to happen, but to have something that I could feel like I could cook a meal, just kind of just be who I am and be happy to be home would be great.
Yes, and you'd live anywhere in Ireland, would you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because I did see on your YouTube clip where you were saying that you don't use the kitchens in the accommodation you're in, which we won't mention, just because they're not following COVID practices properly, or that so you're staying in your tiny room the whole time.
You there?
Yes, I'm just saying you're staying in your room the whole time because you're not happy with the COVID practices in the kitchen, etc., of the accommodation you're in.
Right. Because you know what? People don't, they don't wear the masks. There's not a lot of ventilation in these places. So, which I know is a big key with COVID. And, God forbid if I was to get COVID, I'd be alone. I mean, if I ended up really sick, I'd be alone. So.
Okay. So, Colleen, ideally, so you have no family here. Ideally, if we were if we had a wish before Christmas, I mean, just imagine if somebody. I was trying to think through. I love solving problems all the time, and I was thinking of like if somebody had an older mom or dad living, let's say, on a farm, or a mom or dad living in a big house that they didn't want to be in on their own. Somebody like you could go and live with them as a housekeeper and be company, be safe, be calm. You're absolutely such a lovely, warm person. I mean, that would be a perfect solution to you, and that you'd have a roof over your head, and you could be a benefit to somebody's maybe mom or dad who are living on their own.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love people. I love animals. I love helping people. I mean, if I could go back 30 years or 40 years, I'd be a nurse, but, can't do that. But, yes, I love helping people. And, again, it's not just about me getting, the Taj Mahal or anything like that. It's just about coming back home to Ireland and enjoying Ireland and possibly being able to help somebody else.
Okay. Well, surely, I mean, we don't have millions of people watching this or anything, but maybe somebody has, uh, it mightn't be attached cottage, but I mean, maybe somebody has a little house somewhere that they only use part of the year even, or, and, and you could have your little dog or so. I don't know how, I don't think it's that big an ask, to be honest, if you're prepared to go and live anywhere in Ireland that you just feel you could settle. I mean, surely somebody could do something. I just don't see why between us all we couldn't come up with a solution for you, Colleen, because Ireland really was incredibly nasty to you, and really, I won't say destroyed your life, because obviously you're a fabulous woman now, but it did things to you that it shouldn't have done to you. And so Ireland owes you, I feel, anyway, that would be my take on it. This country owes you that, you know? It's not like, I mean, I know there's many people in sheltered in, what accommodation? You're in emergency accommodation. There's many people there that would be from Dublin, and they're waiting on houses, or they've lost their own homes or whatever. But there's very few with your incredibly unique story. Like, there has to be nearly nobody. You are a unique case, so
Right.
somebody has to listen to the fact that you're an absolutely unique case.
Right. Well, and the thing is that I mean, I'm not patting myself on the back, but I think I'm a unique person as far as that somebody had said to me the other day, they said, or I said to them, I'm not above anybody, but I want to be better than people like in these kind of places where they end up, because of addictions or whatever. And like I said, I'm not above anybody, and I think personally I deserve better and would work for it better.
Yeah.
So
And is there a government official anywhere that you've approached and they've sat and listened to your story? Is there anybody? Department of Children, I don't know, adoptions, is there anybody has sat opposite you and listened to your story?
no.
Okay, have you reached out to officialdom and said, here I am, please help me, can you give me back the home you took off me?
Oh yes, I did it before I even came to Ireland. I kind of explained. I mean, I didn't know I would end up in emergency accommodations, but I knew what my dream was to come back. So I did reach out to people. I mean, when the newspapers were interviewing me, I was in the States, and I told them of my dream. And but no, nobody like responded.
My God almighty, such bastards that they don't respond to a story like that. I mean, I mean, Ireland did this to you, you didn't opt for this situation, and I think it's admirable that you're back in Ireland and you want to make it your home. I think it's very admirable that you do. So all we can do is, I would say, what we should try and just do is say that, like, it's 2 weeks before Christmas. If we asked everybody who saw this short chat to share it, because I'm doing this since March, and I've never asked anybody to share anything. But I'm saying now, if everybody that was watching this could share it, maybe something will come out of it, and maybe we could make, even part of your dream come true for you, because you deserve it, so that would be my ask. I've never asked anybody to share anything, but I would say now, if everybody listening to us, Colleen, could just press the share button. Who knows who's listening and watching? You just don't know on social media who's listening and watching. And that's what I'm asking everybody that's ever watched a DDPK. The only ask back, I'd say, is for anybody that's enjoyed it to share Colleen's story and see, can we make some of the dream come true, even if it's not before Christmas, then even in 2021, there has
Right.
to be
A new year, a new dream.
Exactly. There has to be a solution, Colleen, to this, because you're too nice. Your life has been too difficult. It's the least Ireland can do for you, I think. So I, for one, will write to who. I have to find out who, but I, for one, will do that. And it's such a pleasure to talk to you. I'm delighted to see you have your fairy lights on. Your lovely, cheerful fairy lights, no matter what, you're still in that space. That fair play to you, you know. And I hope that
I try to make it as positive as possible.
yes, I can't imagine emergency accommodation, really. I can't. I feel, you know, you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be there. You know, there has to be a solution. There has to be a solution. So please, everybody that's watching this, if you did one thing this Christmas, just share Colleen's story and see, can we all between us maybe find a little thatch cottage, and you know, we'll worry about the dog later. If we could sort the accommodation first, that's the main thing. But Colleen, look, I won't go on because these things get too long. I can't post them, and I'd really like to post this because you're such a beautiful person. So the very best of luck, and I'm sure we'll meet for coffee over the Christmas. Definitely, we'll meet for coffee.
Definitely, Debbie.
Christmas. Definitely, come to the house for a slice of Christmas cake. I'll Facebook you afterwards, and we'll make arrangements and come for lunch or something like that. But it's so lovely.
Thank you, Debbie.
It's so lovely, and the best of luck. The best of luck, Colleen. Really. Beautiful person, beautiful, sad story.
All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Take care.